Hey, welcome to the May 22nd team call for the Beauty for Ashes Society. However, hey, Alicia, what's up? I have been thinking and planning and trying to figure out how I wanted to organize this call for a long time, actually. It's probably been about 6 months. I've been thinking about this and how to share it. And as our team has just exploded over the last several months, I feel like there's no better time than now, especially since I want each of you guys to hear my heart, and then also I want to get your feedback and input for what you are seeking out of this team, and then also what your goals and vision are for the future of your business, of our team, of our community, all of those things. So I know there's a few new faces on this call, and I have all ideas that some more will be jumping on that are newer faces. And so I know not everybody here knows my story. I wanted to just start off saying that over the last 6 months, God's been talking to me about the tribe of women that I've been called to pour into and help get unstuck from life circumstances. I grew up in a poor single mom family. It was just me and her. My father had abused her while she was pregnant with me, and so thankfully she left him. But that means that we grew up just me and her. The bearer of coffee, guys. He is my soulmate. Hold on just a second. Yes, very nice. Okay, hope you all have your coffee as well. So my father was not in my life. My mom got sole custody of me, and so I grew up just she and I. My father ended up molesting my half-sister when I was in kindergarten. I didn't know that at the time, but for that reason, he went away to jail and was in jail all the way until I was 17. So I just didn't have that father figure in my life. My grandfather and my uncle kind of filled in that role. But because of that, obviously my mom didn't have any child support, anything like that. So I grew up in a really rough area of town. Super stuck in a lot of ways, like stuck financially. My mom worked seriously. She dropped me off at a place called Kitty Ranch, which was like a before school daycare at 5:30 in the morning. I was the first child to arrive there. They did special arrangements for me. 5:30 in the morning, and then they walked me to school, and then I stayed an extended day until just before 6. She would pick me up because she worked an hour away. So she was working all day long, every day, and she did everything just to make ends meet, but she refused any kind of welfare or child support, or not child support, but food stamps, anything like that. And so we just didn't have money. Like, we had enough to eat, poorly, but we had enough to eat, and that was pretty much it. I remember I really wanted to do Girl Scouts, and she told me no. Not because she didn't want me to. We went to an informational meeting, which made me even more excited about it, but finally realized that it wasn't going to work out financially. Dance classes, ballet, swimming, like everything that, I wanted to do, it was always the same answer of like, no, we don't have enough money. When we went out to eat, it was stuff like Taco Bell, and we would split a meal. I really, up until like college, I really thought that Olive Garden was a super, super fancy restaurant because we only went there maybe once a year for my mom's birthday. And I really thought it was a fancy meal, like super fancy, because there were waiters that came over. And so I grew up stuck because relationally, my mom did not date after that. I didn't have any male role models. Spiritually, I didn't become a Christian until I was 10. And the way God worked that out was a crazy, awesome story, but I'll tell you that another time. I just felt, really, really stuck. I remember specifically, and I've told my husband this story probably 3 or 4 times now, but I remember walking down, all of our mailboxes were kind of like clustered on a road because we lived on a dirt road. And I remember walking down to get my mail, and the guy that lived next door, was probably 15 to 20 years older than my mom. And he was just like that guy, the neighbor that would always look out for your house when you weren't there, and like super neighborly, you know? But he told me that I was going to end up pregnant and barefoot living the next street over, because that's what all of his daughters did. And that's what his granddaughter, who lived with him because his daughters couldn't take care of her, that's what she did as well. And it was just kind of the common thing in the area that we grew up in. I say we, like there's more siblings that I grew up in. A lot of the girls didn't graduate high school. I don't think anybody went to college. And so my mom, from day one, she always told me, like, Lisa, you're going to college. It wasn't an option. She's like, you need to get good grades and figure it out because you're going to college. And I can't afford to send you. And so I did. I was the first one in my family to go to college. And it was the first time that I kind of felt like, okay, this is the time where I can reinvent myself. I can be whoever I want to be. I can, like, because when you go to high school, everybody knows where you're from, and they're like, oh, you're from there. Like, and you just have that label kind of stuck on you. And I went to college and nobody knew who I was. I joined a sorority and instantly had friends. And they were awesome friends, and got involved in a lot of different organizations, ministries, different things like that. And it was the first time I kind of felt like I was doing something out of the average, I guess you could say, and starting to get that unstuck feeling. I had already been unstuck in my life spiritually because of becoming a Christian. God was moving me into missions, doing all kinds of work overseas and stuff like that. I had felt unstuck emotionally once my father came out of jail when I was 17. I sat down and talked to him because it doesn't matter. My mom never told me what he went to jail for. I found out when I was probably, I think I was 13 or 14. I was rummaging through my mom's drawers. I was home alone because I was always home alone. And I was rummaging through her drawers, and I found a letter from him. And it was one of those AA meetings in jail, 12-step programs. And they had to like write a letter home telling, like admitting all their wrongs or something. And that's how I found out how he had gotten to jail. And so I went through a lot of counseling with that through my church. And just once I met him, I could kind of like, it doesn't matter how much you know about somebody's past. When you don't have that person in your life, you're always like, but what if, like, what would it be like? I don't know if that makes any sense unless you've been in that situation. But once I finally met him, I could finally like release it. Because up until that point, I remember watching Ricky Lake episodes and thinking like, gosh, one day I'm going to go on there and like find my father and find out like what all's going on. Not because I didn't know who he was. I did. My mom had contact with him. I just had no contact with him. And my mom thought it was in my best interest. Now I understand why. And so I had a little bit of a release with him from that. And then later on, he passed away right as I moved back to the States. And so I just kind of felt released from all of that. And once I got married, God was just moving through my life and healing relationships in that aspect. So emotionally, I felt like I was getting unstuck. But even as we got married, Josh and I, we've been married almost 8 years now. He came from a family that didn't have much either. They had been on food stamps at one point, and people would just show up at their doorstep and bring groceries. And I think we came from a very poverty mindset. And so as we got married and didn't have money, I think that's a normal thing for most people. You get married, you don't have any money, you're scraping by trying to make it work. We kind of got stuck in that mindset. Even when we went overseas and things started to feel a little bit better, we would get a savings, but it didn't seem like it mattered because things would always keep popping up. And we just felt very, very stuck. We did the Financial Peace University. If you haven't done it, highly recommend it. But until you change your mindset, until you change that, like, it doesn't really matter what I do because I'm not going to get ahead, or that always worrying about what's going to happen mindset, then it's not going to go away. Like, we had Kai, and as much as we wanted to do stuff, we were like, oh, but we really don't have money. We don't really have money. And I heard those things coming out of my mouth, and I was like, this is my mom all over again. Like, I don't want my kids to have that childhood. I had finally, made sure that, one, I married a Christian guy. We were on the right path together. I knew we were doing the same things. We were financially trying our best. We were like doing all those things. And yet this one area I couldn't seem to let go of. Why do I tell you guys all of this? It's not because I like airing my dirty laundry for everybody to hear, but one, I consider you guys like family. I think for us to have a good relationship, we need to know the ins and outs somewhat of each other's lives and let people in a little bit. Two, because it really plays into my why. The reason why I decided to become a coach, to start this team, and why I keep going. Because for my family, I never want to say we can't afford that. Not that I want to spoil them completely rotten. That's not what I'm saying. I want my kids to be able to go to soccer if they want to do it. I want them to have swim lessons if they want to do it. I want to be able to go on vacations. I only went on one vacation as a child, to the beach, and I lived in Florida. So I still thought it was awesome, but now looking back, I'm like, I guess it wasn't that great. It all kinds of plays into it. I also have PCOS. It's a hormonal imbalance, and so it makes it really hard for me to lose weight. I gained 24 pounds with Kai, and somehow could not lose them. I went to the Y. We were back on itineration from El Salvador for 3 months, and so we bought a 2-month membership and paid an arm and a leg for the family membership so Kai could go into daycare while we worked out. I worked out every day for an hour to an hour and a half and just could not lose the weight. I thought I was eating healthy. I skipped meals and had Smoothie King or Planet Smoothie, one of the two, for lunch. I mean, I thought I knew what I was doing, right? And I could not lose the weight for the life of me. It was right around Easter when finally I broke down in tears, and I think I was like 6 or 7 months postpartum, and I was still wearing maternity clothes. And I told my husband, I was like, that's it. I can't go back to El Salvador like this. Like, I need to feel better about myself. At that point, it wasn't about just losing the weight. I just needed to feel better about myself. And so we went to the outlet malls in Orlando, and I bought myself a new wardrobe with money we didn't have, just with all these flowy shirts. It's funny because I just went through my closet like this last week, and I put them on, and I'm like, what was I thinking? Because they're just giant. But I needed something that wasn't clinging to my stomach, that I could just feel like me again, like feel confident again. And so bought a whole new wardrobe and said, that's it. This is my post-baby body, right? And then I ended up getting pregnant with Asher, gained another 24 pounds, and I hit 180, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I can't. It was the heaviest weight I had ever been at. I felt stuck because we had just moved to a new place. I didn't have friends. I didn't have a lot of friends outside of the church that like I actually talked to outside of service. I didn't have family nearby or close at all. I felt like I was staying at home with kids, so my ministry had kind of been taken away from me. I was just sitting at home with Kai all the time and pregnant, feeling miserable. And then I had Asher, and I felt huge with 2 kids and kind of miserable. And I was like, that's it. And we were looking at me getting a nighttime job to pay all the bills, because with PCOS, you also don't get pregnant very easily. And I had to take fertility drugs, which of course insurance does not cover. So when he was born, I was still paying off bills from when we were trying to conceive him a year before. So with all the bills rolling in from his birth and everything else, a bunch of my friends were talking about T25, and I was like, I had already tried Couch to 5K. I had already tried the Y. I had already tried a bunch of other things, and I was like, let's not kid ourselves. I'm a Florida girl in the middle of freaking Missouri. It's too darn cold for me to get outside and run. And so I was like, 25 minutes, I can find that in my day. And I found my coach, and I ended up signing up as a coach at the same time. but with 21 Day Fix instead because she wanted me to get my nutrition in check. Long story short, lost 46 pounds, have kept them off. Don't get me wrong, I still have PCOS, but a lot of my symptoms are managed, including my blood work. So now kind of brings you up to speed. I feel unstuck spiritually. I feel unstuck emotionally. I feel unstuck physically because I can run and do and be all the things that I want to be with my kids. And I'm starting to finally feel unstuck financially. A lot of times I don't think I set the greatest example with sharing my income progression or anything like that with the online world because it's not very exciting paying on debt. Like it is to me, but like, hey, I just paid off a credit card, or hey, I just, put like 0.5% of my student loans are gone. Like it doesn't sound very impressive when you're drowning in $60,000 of student loan debt and you have a mortgage and a car payment that you're all paying on. And so it's like, hey, every bit of money that I make pretty much goes back into debt. But it feels like the noose that's been around my neck for years, pretty much my whole life. Even though it wasn't me when I was a kid, it was my mom. Even though it was my mom, I still owned part of that because it was just me and my mom, and I owned everything that she owned, basically. If she was angry about something, I was angry because I was her support system. And so I owned some of that. Well, we don't have money for it, so I'm not even going to ask. And so my whole life, I've kind of felt like money's just been, I don't know, like this noose around my neck, and I finally feel like it's loosening up. Oh gosh, this sounds like such a downer, but I don't mean it to. And so spiritually I felt free for a long time, but now physically I'm not bound by a body that can't. Financial freedom is the last piece. I know that my father is the owner of the cattle on 1,000 hills, and that he's shown to be our provider time and time again. But I also know that he blesses those who are good stewards of what he gives. So that's kind of a little bit about me. I don't know if anybody would feel comfortable sharing a little bit of your story. Definitely does not need to be 20 minutes, like just a little piece of your background, because so many of us don't know each other. And so anyone, feel free. We're all just going to sit here in awkward silence. That's cool. I used to be a teacher.
I'll speak. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
I don't know if my new webcam works like how it works. So, okay, my story is not as amazing as yours, but
That's not true.
Let's see. I don't think I grew up as poverty stricken as you were, but we still didn't have a whole lot of money. I never did any extracurricular things except maybe once. I took art classes. But besides that, I could never do dance or clubs or anything, sports or whatever. So fast forward into my adult life, it was kind of the same thing. Like, we can't really afford to do things for our kids. And, I wish that, we could. And I think slowly we'll get there. But so, yeah, I kind of feel like money is kind of that noose around my neck too, especially being a stay-at-home mom and living on one primary income. There's a lot of financial sacrifices that come along with that, like vacations or going out to eat or going to the movies or date nights, and seeing, other family members or friends be able to do those things. It can be depressing. So, I don't remember why I was sharing that, but
So why did you decide to become a coach? Like,
okay.
How does that play into your why then?
Okay. So I think I was in your very first challenge group, Lisa, or if not first one, second one. So
no, you were my first, the first one I ran. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. So that was like almost 2 years ago. Um, and I started the challenge group because I felt stuck with my weight in my body, and I did a lot of yo-yo dieting and tried lots of different fads and things, and I'd lose weight, but then it would come back because it didn't really, I mean, we all know how this works, right? So I finally found something that worked, and you tried to get me into coaching for, well, ever since then. And finally in January, I took the plunge. I was nervous and scared, um, but it was just something that just kept popping in my head. Like it just never went away. And I was just always thinking about it. And I was like, no, I don't want to. I'm too scared. And I'd still think about it. And I even told you at one point, no, I don't want to, but I was still thinking about it. So I think I started because I just prayed a lot about it and just felt like, this voice in my head saying, try it. What have I got to lose? I think the big thing was my sister-in-law, Rachel Kenyon, started in December. And I was like, well, if she can do it, then maybe I can too. Because at that point, Lisa, you'd been doing it for a while, so seeing someone new, it was just a different perspective, seeing someone brand new that was kind of shy and timid like me, trying it. So that was kind of my why for starting. And I remember, this is really long, sorry. We went over to your house because I had like a million questions about it. And I remember you telling me that you wanted your coaches to be someone who wants to inspire people and help people. And I was like, I don't want to do that. That's not me. I don't get a thrill out of helping people. And you're like, oh, well. But now that I've been doing it, I have found that I do get a lot out of it. And I didn't know I had that in me. So I don't know if everything I said really was cohesive, but no one else was talking. So
that actually is funny because I'm the same way. They say that like attracts like. And when I first got into it, I told you it was because I really needed the income. I was like, dude, I need to get fit. And I really need the income, so I'm just going to go for it. Like, it was free to sign up, so I was like, I prayed about it, and I was like, I feel like this is what God, like, this could be a great ministry, and it has turned into that. But what's funny is I've gotten so much more. And yeah, I did not start it thinking, oh, I'm going to inspire all these people. Like, no, that's not what I did either. And I know it sounds kind of crass and not super coachy, but I'm here being honest with you guys. Like, I got into it because I needed to lose weight and I needed some money. Like, that's why I got into it. It's evolved over time and it will evolve. It'll continue to evolve. But I love that about it. Would anybody else be willing to share a little bit of their story as to why they became a coach? I'm willing to guess that Jen and I are not the only two that have ever felt stuck in our life. Sarah, do you want to share?
Yes, I would love to. It was funny because we had a team call with Danny last Tuesday, and we all talked about our whys. And in the middle of our team call, we found out that we actually didn't get an apartment in Boston that we were looking for. And that was really tough. Because like in that moment, I feel like my why totally shifted, because the reason that we didn't get the apartment is because of our inconsistent income. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because it's crazy how something like that completely changes the game for you, like how you completely go into like almost survival mode, and you're like, I'm doing this for my family, like I'm doing this for other people. And I think it's kind of been a roller coaster since I started in November. Like, I started because I honestly, like, I had no friends And I've learned since I started this process that it's because I've been an inconsistent friend. Like I was an introvert. Like I tried to be an extrovert, said I was, totally wasn't. Like all 4 years of college, people asked me to hang out with them. And I'm like, oh no, like I'll love you for 5 minutes, but I totally just want to go watch Netflix and be in my room and eat food that I know I shouldn't be eating. Like that was me. Like, so I was a mess, but I never wanted to let people in. I never wanted to let them in close enough to see who I was, because in my past with my friends from high school, it was all about image. And so I knew that if I was actually myself, these people would turn on me and not want to be my friends, or hold me to this insanely high expectation of perfection that I just didn't want anything to do with. So I really I really struggled with being a consistent friend and person. So that really, that was really hard for me to deal with. And then when I became a mom, I was like, I have all these great friends, but I don't have any mom friends. And I felt like, man, what am I doing at home with a kid every day?
Right.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going nuts. And so this was just really a huge outlet for me to grow as a person, so I could also see other people grow. And I know that's crazy because I'm I love the fact that I get paid to lose weight and be fit. But then I'm going to shout out Anna, but I was on the phone with Anna the other day and she was just talking about it's so cool because this is the first thing that's been physical, emotional, and spiritual for me. And you need all of those things to be a completely healthy person, and how one program can do that. And so I just think it's cool because even in the midst of we don't have an apartment. So now I'm really focusing on okay, everyone, let's change lives. But I'm no, it's really because I need money. But then I bring myself back to but look at how I've changed as a person, and how I want to be able to see other people say that, and hear other people be I didn't only change physically, but I got to change these patterns that I had my whole life that I never thought I would get rid of and come from. And so just, I don't know, that was all over the place, but that's pretty much my life right now. So I'm just kind of just saying what where my mind is going these days.
I love it. No, Sarah and her husband, they are getting ready to go church plant in Boston. She's been living in Lakeland, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yep. Lakeland for the last several years. And so now they're going to Boston next month. And so she's busy packing up her house and has a 1-year-old. So yeah, she's a little crazy too. Just the thing. It's great. Okay, so if you guys wouldn't mind sharing, because I know we don't have time to hear everybody's story. If you were willing to be here till midnight, I'd totally keep you and hear every single person's story. But if you wouldn't mind sharing in the chat below one area that you felt stuck, and why you became a coach, the area that you felt stuck that probably most propelled you to become a coach. And it doesn't matter. I mean, if there's a couple, you can put a couple. But like I said, I know that we're not the only ones that ever felt stuck in something. I know it's quiet because everyone's typing, right? Emotionally and financially. It's funny because Sarah kind of hit the nail on the head that this does lack of confidence. This does kind of hit every area. Our business hits every area. And it's funny because she said it's funny how one program can do that. And I kind of want to, I don't want to correct it. I don't think that's right. But I think our team is the changing factor in that. The fact that our team goes the extra mile to make sure that people are feeling confident, are feeling stable emotionally, are feeling supported and accountable, and dealing with some of the internal healing that comes with weight issues a lot of times. Okay, so I'm going to read some more of these. Let's see. Emotional and financial, lack of confidence. I became a coach because I feel like I don't belong to my normal world. I financially need to help support my family and find my tribe. Low self-esteem, feeling like I wasn't making a difference. Postpartum disorder, panic postpartum depression, panic disorder, 45 pounds heavier, no confidence, no adult interaction. I think that's a huge one for us stay-at-home moms. Golly, it was so huge for me. You guys have no idea. My entire life, I felt stuck financially. I felt stuck and uncomfortable in my skin, that I continually put others before me, so I wouldn't have to focus on my insecurities. Hey all, I'm just getting started, so hi, I'm feeling financially stuck. I really want to help out my family more, and I also am stuck emotionally, especially emotional eating. If you haven't checked out the book Made to Crave, I totally recommend it if you're dealing with emotional eating. And something that as coaches, that's part of the reason why personal development is so important, because it meets so many areas of that we're talking about: self-confidence, self-esteem, financial. There's so many books, good books on financial stuff, emotional, depression, all of those things. Counselors are wonderful as well. But if you're dealing with specifically emotional eating, I highly recommend Made to Crave or one of the other books that deals with that, because it's super important for you to be leading the way in your challenge group. You can be healing along with them. That's perfectly fine. Be open and honest with them about it, but that's a huge thing. Financial, I relate to Sarah so much. I wanted to keep drinking Shaco and I couldn't afford it. Perfectly good reason. I mean, Shakeology's like healed my body from the inside out. So I was kind of right there with you. I was going to turn it back in. Not going to lie. When I first ordered my challenge pack, I was going to return the Shakeology because I was like, I don't drink shakes. And then we loved them. So I ordered another bag. I didn't go into it for greater accountability, but that's what it's given me. Yes, so true. It gave me fresh motivation and extra little boost that I needed for me and my own goals. Boom, love it. The shift from a working mom to a stay-at-home mom had me longing to find a way to help support our family in some way. I know what you mean. After being a provider and then going into that role of feeling like you have to ask for money almost. That sounds bad. But as a stay-at-home mom, I feel like many of us relate to that. Like you have to ask for money or ask about spending money. You feel kind of bad about like even going to get groceries. If you get a bag of chips or something, you're like, ooh, I don't know. So yeah, I totally understand that. Definitely joined for money though. Yep. Amen. I became a coach because it felt that I could help other working moms realize that they can make health and fitness a priority as well and be a healthy example for my kids. Absolutely. Especially as working moms, I feel like they don't relate to me very well because they're like, oh, you stay at home, you can do it whenever. But like having other working moms being like, boom, I got my workout in anyway. That's pretty amazing. I became a coach. Nope, that's the wrong one. My main why was because I wanted at least one healthy parent for our kids. My husband's riddled with issues. So you're going to make a huge positive change in your whole family. I was a stay-at-home mom with 4 girls. I was over 200 pounds and depressed. I wanted to lose weight and get healthy without a gym or fad diet because I tried them all. I was also tired of not financially contributing to my family because I'd always worked in the past. Yep. Financially stuck, but also relate to Sarah with the relationships. I tend to find myself alone quite often and crave a sense of community. Another reason I joined the community of coaches looked amazing and fun. I wanted to be a part of it every time Lisa talked about it on Facebook. Oh, Jen. I was like, who said that? I'm not looking at the names. And when you guys go to Summit, I don't know how many, raise your hand if you're going to Summit. Yay, a bunch. When you go to Summit, you'll see a huge, the community is absolutely unreal. That's me. I just asked about spending any money. Yes, so true. I became a coach to initially save money, but now I do it to keep me motivated and on track. And by doing so, I help others as well. Stuck in a sense of worthlessness and anxiety from financial fears. Okay, so many times we've heard like there's probably the same 4 or 5 over and over and over. And it's because like attracts like. So most of us, even though it happened in our background and we may not even realize, it's funny how like your personality will naturally attract other people that are similar, even though they don't know that about you. So strange. So I wanted to share a little bit about a background so that now we can talk about our vision for the future. And I thought about just like writing out a vision and like, here's the vision, y'all. But it doesn't sound natural hearing y'all coming from my voice. I don't say that. But I decided not to. I decided that I kind of want us to come up together with what our vision should be as a team. I was reading the difference between vision and goals because sometimes they got kind of hairy in my brain for me. And the one thing that I saw was the vision is your destination and the goals are your milestones to get there. Because a lot of times we see, I'm going to talk specifically about coaching now. So a lot of times we see a rank like diamond or star diamond or 15-star diamond, or we see a leadership ladder rung or even a certain income goal as that's our destination. Like that's what we're working towards. And yes and no, like you are working towards those, but when you have setbacks and you've been working towards a certain goal, say you are working towards Simon, you have 6 coaches, you need 8, 4 on either side. So you have 3 on either side. You have 1 that's an emerald on one side. So all you need are like 2 more coaches and 1 other one to go emerald. And you're like, oh, this is fantastic, right? I was stuck in depression. 1 more. And so you may set this goal for yourself, but then when adversity comes, because it's going to, especially as an entrepreneur, guys, like it's going to. There's going to be months that are hard. There's going to be days that are hard. There's going to be weeks that are hard. And there's going to be things in your life that are going on outside of Beachbody that are going to affect it, like Sarah's apartment hunting situation. And unfortunately, fortunately, we are made up of body, mind, and soul. Like we're meant to have everything kind of affect everything else. It can be a good thing, like when you get healthy, all of a sudden your brain isn't near as foggy. You're feeling better about yourself, all of that kind of stuff. Or it can be negative, like, you know, your car broke down, so now you eat a bunch of junk, and then you feel like crap, and then you yell at your husband, and then it starts relationship issues. Like, it can be positive or negative, right? Where was I going with that? Oh, and so if outside factors or adversity, all of those, one of those things comes up, if it's just a goal and you have, 2 coaches drop, then all of a sudden that negative momentum could really get to your brain, especially if you haven't been doing personal development. So it's going to get to you, it's going to wear you down, and then you're going to be like, oh, well, crap, forget it, throw in the towel, I'm not going to get there now. Like, it took me this long to get to 6 coaches, and then 2 coaches just dropped off. Like, screw it. Like, I'm never going to get there. However, if it's a vision, it's going to keep you driving. It's going to keep going through thick and thin. Basically your why is what's going to keep you going. Like, that vision, that in-time vision is what's going to keep you going. Getting to diamond, like, yeah, sure, it's fantastic. Hitting, I don't know, $500 a week, it's fantastic. That's great. Like, extra money. I was in it for the extra money. Had you told me at the beginning, I would have been like, $500. Now I'm like, oh, $500. That's great. But what keeps me motivated isn't just hitting $500 and then sitting there, or hitting diamond and then sitting there. What keeps me motivated and driven is being able to finally say yes to my son, being able to look at all the people that are underneath me. Like, looking at all of these faces right now just fuels my fire. I'm like, look how many. Like, when I started, I think there were 4 or 5 people on the call, and looking tonight and seeing a full screen of faces is pretty freaking amazing, because it just means that there's that many of you guys that are serious enough to take time out of your day to join in, to be a part of the vision. So that's the difference between vision and goals. So if you were to tell me, I don't know, 3 words of things that you would like to find out of, or that you would like to gain from our team, the reason why you joined our team over a different team, or just signing up with a random coach, or what you were looking for when you first joined in, what would you say? 3 words. I wrote down a whole slew, so don't tell me you can't come up with 3. Like that many words, guys. 3 words that you would like to, or that you like to gain from our team. Whether it's there already or not. If it's something you're missing from our team, that's totally fine. Just 3 words. I'm trying to figure out whose bed this is. Katie. Friendship, accountability, success, insight. Ooh, I like that one. Support, education. Whoa, they're going too fast. Accountability, creative ideas, encouragement. That one. Encouragement. Accountability. Sorry. Community, like a gajillion times over. Integrity. Support, inspiration. Tools, community, accountability. Keep getting the same things, I think. Anybody else? Oh, there's more coming in. Friendship, integrity, accountability, teamwork. Well, I had collaborators. I'm going with it. Family, drive, inspiration. I like that you used the word family. Who is that? Beth. Well done, Beth. Drive. I have inspiration. Or words that would describe us, I guess you could say. Did everybody share? Nod your head. Or put up your hand if you didn't. Okay. Community, fellowship, inspiration. Okay. These are the words that I had. And I'm going to share. This is basically who I feel like we are and the way that we're going. And I love that a lot of you guys said some of the same ones. So I think I'm going to make these few words that everybody said over and over and over again, some of the words that our team takes on as part of the vision. So I had integrity, which got said many times. Community, obviously said a bunch of times. Encouragement was said. Accountability was said. I had dreamers, go-getters, collaborators, which somebody said teamwork. Priorities, meaning people who keep their priorities straight. I know in the beginning I did a lot of my team calls on this, and maybe I should mention it a lot more again, but I want people that keep their priorities straight over anything. I don't want you to lose your families or lose, I don't want you to lose anything else because of coaching. I want coaching to be something that adds to your life. Priorities, freedom, obviously. Passion-filled, driven, givers, driven, somebody said as well. Givers, transparency, like I want you guys to lead with transparency and vulnerability. Honest, serving heart, and consistent. Okay, so now that you've heard like some of where we're going, I don't know how to share this best. Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to share what I wrote out. And then I'm going to ask questions, and I want your feedback. Okay, guys? So stick with me. I know this is going kind of long. Okay, so my focus and goal since Diamond Retreat. Diamond Retreat, Becca ran for us in November last year. My goal and focus since Diamond Retreat has been to help free other women like me who feel stuck either physically, spiritually, emotionally, or financially, which is basically what you all said. I want us to follow after our God-given dreams and passions wildly. I want a tribe of women that want to empower others to dream wildly and with abandon, to find freedom themselves and then share it with others, and that give freely and show love deeply. A tribe that bands together to share the workload, but also in the victories, that honors their priorities in and throughout the journey, that goes the extra mile and lavishes love, encouragement, and praise on one another, that leads with integrity and grace, that cultivates a community of guidance and the foundations of training up the future generations of our family, Yes, family. I see us as related not by blood necessarily, but by vision, passions, and dreams. So it's funny that somebody put family on there. Okay, bye, Stacey. So here we are at a turning point in the year. We've had a rough month and a half as a team, but that doesn't indicate our future. We're at a fork in the road. We can either settle for more of the same and mediocrity, or we can ride the momentum, band together, and create the community we desire. With that, our future as well. So I think it's really funny because the things that I wrote down here of what I really want to see, it sounds like some of the things that you guys want to see as well. So if you could, again, in the comments, what are your greatest strengths? This can be either as a coach or as a person. What would you say some of your greatest strengths are? One or two, you don't have to list like a whole slew of them. Compassion and creativity, I totally see that. Compassion, goal-oriented, awesome. Encouraging. I saw Denise and then encouraging. I thought it said discouraging. I was like, that's not good. Encouraging, perfect. Encourager and motivated, optimistic and outgoing. As a person, loyal and outgoing, perfect. Being positive and committed. I think all of these things fall within what we want to see. I love helping others, committed. Creativity, compassion. I could totally use some creativity. So guys, you that are creative, go ahead and help a pink girl out. Honest and loving, compassionate, passionate about others, doing things wholeheartedly. Oh, I like that. Somebody recently told me that they, as a couple, like to do hard things. Like that's been their motto. And it stuck with me. So now doing things wholeheartedly, I love that. Okay, so what are some of the areas that you struggle? And with this, I'm going to say specifically in coaching. It doesn't have to be a behavior. I'm not saying like inviting. I mean like, what's a characteristic in which you struggle? Consistency, follow through. Organization and consistency. Organization, I'm going to write these down for team calls. Organization. Consistency. Transparency. Who said transparency? Angela, I like that. Vulnerability. Vulnerability and transparency, I feel like go hand in hand. To be transparent, you have to be vulnerable, and it's scary. I hate this. My Siri, every time I say anything that sounds like Siri, it picks it up and it starts typing and drives me crazy. Okay, being vulnerable, following up without sounding desperate or pushy. That's more of a behavior. So maybe following up could be sharing all parts of my life. That goes back with transparency and vulnerability. Letting hard things intimidate me. Yeah, that's definitely a huge one. Overcoming fear, that those two kind of work hand in hand. Creativity, we're going to have to like, all those creative people will have to do a call on creativity for us. It's very scary to allow others to see parts of your life that you may consider to be flaws. Yeah, but it's in those flaws that they relate. And it may be hard for you to open up about them, but when you open up about them, that's when they relate and they connect to you on a far deeper level than posting any selfie or anything else can. Boldness, stepping out of my comfort zone, consistency, and being transparent. Transparency, the funny thing about that is that it was a huge issue with me too, and I haven't been sharing about it a whole lot, but golly, I'm feeling so much more like free because of this book, Daring Greatly. I cannot listen to more than like 30 minutes of it at a time because it rocks my world. Every time I listen to it, I hear it and I'm like, oh gosh. It's a fantastic book if you're looking into it. Okay, so as a team, especially those of you that have been on our team for more than like 2 months, no, actually the newbies, I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts as well. Where do we drop the ball? Like, what's the one thing that you would like to see that you haven't felt? Does that make sense? Where do we drop the ball as a team? After you guys give some of your answers, I have one that I would like to share. Anyone? I've allowed personal battles to stop my coaching journey. So how do you feel that the team has dropped the ball for you? Or have they? Like, what's lacking? If there's one thing that you could add or change or tweak to our team, what would it be? If you guys want to unmute, you totally can. I feel weird like I'm talking to myself.
Can I say something?
Mm-hmm.
I think, like I just said, for me, that I let some personal struggles get in the way of being consistent in my coaching. But by being more vulnerable, I need to be more vulnerable on the team page in addition to just my personal feed.
Yeah, I get that. That is something where I've been struggling and really trying to do this since the beginning of the year, is making sure that I'm vulnerable with you guys, that you guys kind of know where I'm at in my thought processes, because I don't ever want, not that you guys do, but I don't ever want you guys comparing yourself to me and thinking like, oh, well, she's got it all together. It's easy for her. Heck no, it's not always easy for me. So, yeah, if we don't know where you're struggling or what issues are going on, like, then we have no way of helping. What about Stacy? Would you mind explaining that?
I didn't want to speak for anybody else because I think a lot of people are pretty active in the group page, but I just feel like it kind of goes with what the last girl just said about just being more vulnerable in the group page, asking for help, or putting stuff out there that has helped you personally, me personally, like saying, hey guys, I did this post and it worked great. Just adding more value to the team page, because I wanted, you need to share that. I may be stuck in what to post, and if somebody else said, hey, I just did this and it worked great, I could, save that idea and be like, hey, that's great. I need to use this when I get stuck. Or so I think if we all kind of stepped up and add more value, then we could all be helping each other and helping our own downline and everything.
Totally agree. Yeah, if you guys have a post that's working really well, if you have a way of reaching out to people that's working really well, if you just read something freaking amazing in your personal development or listened to something and you think that it's amazing, share it on the team page. Like, I don't have to be the only one sharing. I feel like most of the time I'm like, hey guys, I read this, or hey guys, da da da. And you guys are great about asking questions on there, and everybody's usually really great about jumping in and answering questions and whatnot. And I love that because it kind of helps with the newbies. I can't be there all the time. Like, I can't. I have my own business to run. I have kids. I can't be on all the time. So I love that you guys are always jumping in and answering. But yeah, I totally agree. If we could all start sharing some value, even if it's, once a month, or not once a month, once a week. If you want to just pop in there whenever you hear something good or a thought comes across your mind, there's that live video thing. Like, feel free to post videos, feel free to do whatever you want. It's our team page, and I want you guys to feel ownership of it as well. Oh gosh, I missed one. Angie, do you go by Angie still or only Angela? Yeah. Either way. Yeah, I totally can't hear you. I don't know what you're saying.
Either is fine. So.
Either way. Okay, because in college we called you Angie most of the time, and now I see Angela. I'm like, I don't know what to say. Okay, so Angie said, I'm super new and I get a bit overwhelmed with everything. I think that's a very, very common feeling. Like, very. Most coaches feel overwhelmed at some point in the first month or two. I'm the one that dropped the ball for myself in not managing my time appropriately and being consistent.
Being inconsistent.
And being inconsistent. Gotcha. So if you can download on audiobook, because I know it's really easy while you're driving to and from school to listen to things. Reading sometimes can be a little bit more difficult, but if you have time to read, fantastic. Eat That Frog is a fantastic book for managing your priorities and time. And it has like specific exercises, and the chapters are super short, which is really great. I guess he knew what he was doing. But
it's
if there's
9 o'clock.
If there's anything that we can do to help, just let us know. I used to put up a lot of time management techniques, and I haven't done that in a while, so maybe I should. As a new coach, the training and team calls and everything else can be overwhelming at first when I didn't understand how it all works. I need a manual, as I don't always have time for daily posts in several groups. Totally understand. So Denise, talk to Rachel. Rachel will tell you specifically which groups are the best ones. For new coaches, my rule is always your challenge group first, because your own health is priority number one, right? Then after that, your new coach training group, because that's specifically tailored to you. And then the third one would be your team page. And Rachel, do you have a team page? No. Okay, so our team page. And then if you were to look at another one, then Becca's. Like, that's far removed. I hardly look at Becca's anymore because I'm like, too many people in there. Don't have enough time running my own team. So those are kind of the order. And yeah, I agree. Maybe having some kind of like, if you're a new coach, start here, do this first, then this, then this. Having that lined out would be good. I love that. Everything about being a part of this team has been amazing for the last few months. A team call with people who have tried various programs and giving their input for the pros and cons would be cool. Okay. Programs. That's a good idea, because I remember feeling really overwhelmed with that when I was a new coach, because I was like, I don't know anything but the 21-day figs. And my coach basically said, well, you can learn about them in the back online office. I was like, okay. So that's what I did. But having personal experience definitely helps. And I need to reread one. Okay. So what are some ways that we can work together to further build up? Oh, what I was going to say about it is the community. So basically piggybacking off of what Stacy had to say, when we welcome a new coach, that everybody chips in and says, hey, welcome. Like, I mean, you guys felt special when people welcomed you in, right? And so taking the time to say welcome, I mean, it takes 2 seconds, that will always make them feel better. Adding value, asking questions, just jumping in there. You guys do so much of it already, but I'd love it if everybody would take ownership of the team and do some of those things. What are some ways, or even encourage each other, like, hey guys, I just got, my 3 vitals done for today. Has anybody else check in? I don't know. If you do something like that, like, a lot of times it just helps build the community a little bit more. What are some ways we can work together as a team to further build up our team and lighten the load? Because as new coaches, a lot of times you guys feel really overwhelmed. I understand. Totally did too. Not only are you doing training, but then you're supposed to be doing your 3 vital behaviors, and then you're going to be, but when I signed up my first coach under me, oh gosh, I felt lost. I didn't know what to do with her. I'd love for there to be some guidelines on how to lead a new coach under me. Does that make sense? Yep, totally does. Let me get my thought out. Hold on. Forgot what I was saying, guys. Totally out of my brain. Okay, so when there's a new coach under you, yeah, I can totally do some training on what to do with a new coach. I felt the same way, and I just kind of added her into the group and let my coach basically do things. But as a new coach, I know a lot of times we feel overwhelmed. So say you're a new coach and then you sign up, because our goal is to go emerald in like the first month, right? So you sign up your first coach and then you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants. And all this stuff is kind of coming at you and you're like, oh gosh, now I got to run my own challenge groups and I've got to do this and got to do that. And like you start thinking about all the things you need to do. And I think a lot of times this is maybe where we lose some of our coaches. Does anybody agree with that? Like your new coaches kind of fizzle out because they feel like there's too much to do. So I was thinking, like, what are some ways that we can lighten the load where we, as some of the veteran coaches that have been here, been there, done that, like it's not a big deal for us to run a challenge group anymore. Totally like easy, rolls off our back. What are some of the things that we can do? I was thinking a list of the programs and what they're good for, i.e. PIO for PCOS, sciatica pain, building lean muscle, like in one document. That would be cool. Stacy, I choose you to start the document. I'm all about, guys, I'm going to be really transparent with you right now. I have been feeling like since January, I've been working really, really, really hard to onboard not only my own coaches, but most of your coaches and maybe even some of you guys. I've done the training. I've done all of that stuff. And I really don't mind doing it. I know it's way easier for me to run the group and you guys to just kind of keep going with what you're doing. Some of you guys were in training yourself when you were signing up coaches to start training as well. And so I don't mind doing it. However, I have felt recently like I have a lot of work on my shoulders and I'm spending a ton of time at the computer. And so I'd like to see if there's any way that we could take on the brunt of this together. I'd like to, okay, see you later, Beth. I'd like to, now with the new My Challenge Tracker app, we can have 10 coaches doing one challenge group. And I don't know about you, but I only have, if I have, 15 challengers, probably only like 7 of them actually check in every day. The rest of them just like log their stuff and that's it. And that's totally cool. Like if that's what they want to do. But I was thinking it could build greater community if maybe we run some of our challenge groups together and do the posting together instead of everybody running their own. Now, granted, if you're wanting to run your own because you want to do a special thing like just for moms or just for this or that, totally cool. But I want to see more of a community-wide approach in our team. And so if everybody's kind of sharing some of the workload, then, okay, see you later, Alicia. If everybody is sharing the workload, then we all get the benefit, and then we're all working together as well. Does that make sense? What do you guys think about this? Pros, cons, concerns? Totally bring up concerns. I'm fine with that. I'm also thinking like with the trainings, because I run trainings, like sometimes I'm posting like 4 groups at one time because I'm running all the different trainings and stuff, that maybe we could split up weeks on different trainings. You guys can step into leadership in that way. But yet you don't have to run the whole thing. I hear crickets. Feel free to unmute yourself. Like not a big deal. Had some challengers say they don't like bigger groups. Totally understand. Felt the same way on Facebook. Don't feel that way on My Challenger Tracker app. Have you tried it yet? Stacy, you're totally still muted.
I'm still muted. How about now? I've done in the past before the challenge, before the app. I'm running one by myself, and then I'm also, when I did one with you and a couple other coaches at one time. Would you rather have a big community where we're all in there, encouraging each other, or would you rather have, be in a smaller group? It's just the notifications. People get overwhelmed with all the notifications when there's 20 plus people in there.
Right. That's the benefit of taking it off of Facebook.
Yeah, it's true.
You don't have all the notifications, and they can turn them on and off on their phone. So that's just some thoughts of sharing the challenge group and sharing the trainings. Because like I said, I don't mind running them. It's just when I'm traveling and doing everything else, it's kind of a lot sometimes. And I can spend an hour just in the training groups and trying to respond to everybody and all of that stuff. And I don't know. I feel like my time's getting stretched thin. That's all. So the last, let me see if I can whittle it down to one more last question. How can we make sure that our coaches are getting the best training yet still feel attached to their mentor coach? Because I also feel like this has been an issue in the last few months where people are, okay, see you, Rachel. People are, I'm doing all the trainings, and so they're getting all their information from me. So then by the time the training's over, instead of reaching out to their mentor coach, aw, fine, Katie. Instead of reaching out to their mentor coach, they're reaching out to me. So I'm getting lots and lots and lots of questions from everybody else. I'd be willing to do my own new coach university for my future coaches. Of course you could do that. But I'm not saying that you have to run your own new coach basics group. I actually think that our groups that are a little bit bigger go better. There's more interaction and talking within the new coaches, which I think helps everybody. I'm just saying, like, would anybody be willing to take a week to post? And it also shows them that you're a mentor and a leader on our team. It shows that we are a community and we work together. There are multiple people that are more than capable of answering their questions, all of those things. And I kind of love that. And then that they're expected later on to be a contributing member of the team as well. Does that make sense? Like, it kind of shows them the full circle of, like, okay, you go through it, and then, like, when you're bringing people through too, you're going to be a part of it. Like, you're going to help lead them. And this is how we're going to help you step into that. I've noticed for a long time in the past, and it's because this is the way my coach did it and the way Lindsay did it, that you kind of went through new coach training and then you broke off and did your own thing. And it was like, okay, well, now go create your own team page and create your own this and your own that, and do your own coach sneak peeks and new coach basics groups and all of those things, and create your own challenge group, do all of that stuff. Like, my whole idea is not like, hey, let's squash what you're doing. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, if it's going to be easier for you to join in with somebody else, it's going to be a lighter workload, then why not combine the groups, share in the community all together, and then all of us kind of take part in it. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm not being clear. Get me trained and I'll be all about that. It's about my bedtime here in Ohio. So excited to get things started in this wonderful group of women. And so which groups are you wanting us to share the load of posting? Sorry, I'm a little confused and wanting to clarify. All of them. All of the groups. I listened to a coach or one of the national wake up calls a while back. It was probably a month ago. And she said that her team does, like, everything together. They do all their challenge groups together. They do all their coaching groups together. They use the specific hashtag that they all post whenever they do a post. So, like, anytime you look on Instagram or Facebook, you see that hashtag. And, like, I don't really care about hashtags, but I do love that. The one thing that we love so much about challenge groups is that it's community, right? That it's community based, and that we get that encouragement and support from each other. So why not establish that same thing in our coaching business? Like, why are we all separating and trying to do our own little thing? If you want to, feel free. Like, it's a lot of work. Go for it. But I feel like we're all going to be a little bit better if we can just do it together, and we can work around each other's schedules. When you're on vacation, you don't have to worry about it. Does that make sense? So I'm thinking like all of our groups, like, okay, I can just say, hey, here's the date for the next group. You know, let me know which week you want to take or who wants to be a part of this one. And if we all kind of do our share and join in that, then we can all be a part of the community of supporting and mentoring new coaches. Even if you're not bringing in a coach right now, a lot of our coaches, the reason why they don't bring in coaches is fear of mentorship or leadership. It's kind of scary. Like, you get this coach, now what do I do now? I'm going to freak out. If they get to practice and you get to share the joy, just like when you become a new challenge host, basically you become a coach with challengers and you get to watch their victories and you're like, holy crap, that person just like lost 3 band sizes, and you get to share in those victories as well. You'll get to share in the victories of the new coaches that are coming through. So in January, when all of these new coaches were coming in and killing it, and in February, and I'm like recognizing them, my heart's filling with joy. Now, kind of like teachers and all of those things, you'll get to experience that same joy because you poured into that person as well. Whether they're your PS coach or not, you're still part of their community. They're still part of the tribe. Like, they succeeded because of you. Does that make sense? And so that's kind of what I'm thinking is like, I'm going to see how many people want to join in along and do the, I know Jen and Erica have been running them together. And if you guys want to run them separately, like, feel free. Or if you want to do a special thing, that's fine. But my whole thing is, I don't see why we're not doing more things as a community. If that's what we loved about Beachbody in the beginning, why not share that same experience in our business? I've said that if they had made a My Challenge Tracker app for the business side of it, how amazing would it be? Like, you log in every time you do your 3 vital behaviors, you know? But it's true, because that's really what it is. It's a whole cyclical thing. And if you want community in one area, why not have community in the whole thing? Our team's amazing. I know they are. This call's gone on for an hour and 15 minutes, but all of that to say that I really believe that we could be an amazing community of people and not burn out. I'm seeing lots of coach burnouts in other teams, and I don't want us to be one of those teams. We're at a fork in the road where we can kind of like just kind of right back down into like mediocrity, into the middle of the pack, or we could shoot forward. And I really think we're going to shoot forward. But the issue with shooting forward is that a lot of people can become burnt out, and that is not my goal. My goal is for everybody to shoot forward and keep their priorities in check and have time to spend with their kids and not feel like they're behind the 8 ball on everything. Does that make sense? Any last minute thoughts, questions, comments? I know I held you guys a really long time. Everybody looks zoned. Okay. Yeah.
I'll say one little thing. I actually signed up as a coach in January before I had my second baby.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, literally like 3 weeks before I popped him out. So it's really crazy though, because I know I signed up like almost 6 months ago, and I felt like I wasn't giving my full like time, and I've been on maternity leave since then. But like literally just like last week, I started to push myself more into the business because I put my 2 weeks in.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So now I'm like showing like, I really, like I said, like I've obviously, this is like my second team call, because like I was on the same call with Sarah on Tuesday. So I'm enjoying all this like feedback. So when you're talking about all these challenge groups, I was like getting overwhelmed. I was like, oh my God, I have like no idea how to even run one, let alone I haven't even had anybody sign up under me, but I'm like talking to people. I'm doing everything I can to, I mean, my husband, he's a graphic designer and web designer. Yeah. So he has his own business. So he's helping me like kind of get out of that little bubble of mine.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say, like, I appreciate like all this time and effort that you guys are doing. And I'm kind of writing notes down from like everybody that has either spoken or has typed in the message. So I'm like stealing ideas.
No, I love it. That's awesome. No, yeah. And that's the thing is that like, I think new coaches, even though you've been a coach for 6 months, by and large, you're basically a new coach, because you were working on yourself and you were doing your own thing. Because I've seen your results. I know you've been working on yourself. But that's kind of thing. Like, I don't want anybody to feel overwhelmed or like they're too far. And if you've been talking to people, chances are is that people are going to start buying, like, all of a sudden. They won't, and then they will. And then and same thing with coaches. If you're talking about coaching all the time on your posts or to like with people, they won't do it, and then all of a sudden they will. Like, you'll have like 2 or 3 sign up all of a sudden. You're like, what the heck just happened? Yeah. And so my goal with this isn't to put more on your plate by any means. The goal is to slowly help ease you into those things and make it a modeling by model it for you. You watch the coaches do it, and then model by apprenticeship after that by doing. And so then you'll get to learn it by doing it. Does that make sense? Gradually release. Yeah. That's a technical term, Angie.
It's a teaching strategy, model for the students and then gradually release to them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the goal of it, is like, I want to show you by example, and then you kind of take the reins, but coaches will be there. And then if you want to go off and do your own challenge group, great. Like, but if you don't and you want to hang out and like enjoy the community of it, awesome. The goal here is, for a long time, the reason why they wanted to just have apprentice coaches and then people would go off and do their own challenge groups is because they don't want anybody sitting stagnant. But that is not my goal with this. My goal isn't like, hey, bring all your challengers into my challenge group and then do nothing. Like, no. My goal is, let's bring them all in and let's share the workload. Does that make sense? So working through it, always telling me that we're planting seeds and that in due time we'll reap the harvest. Absolutely. That's how it works. I do, we do, you do. Yep. Mm-hmm. That is exactly it. So, and same thing with the trainings. Like, when you've never done a training or sneak peek, oh dear God, the first time with the sneak peek, I remember I brought them into Becca's group, and then the next month I brought them into Becca's group. And then the month after that, I said, hey, are you doing one? And she goes, no, but you can. And then I didn't run the coach sneak peek for 8 months. I'm not kidding. She told me, like, no, but you can. Like, kicked me out of the nest. And I was like, what? No, I can't. So I just didn't. And I didn't run a coach sneak peek for a long time. It was at least 8 months. It may have been 9 or 10. It was a long time. And then I finally started running them. I was like, oh, this isn't a big deal, like, at all. But I feel like I don't mind doing them as a team because they're better when they're bigger groups. Does that make sense? Like, people like seeing the feedback of other people. When it's quiet, it's kind of like a dead group. But when there's lots of people and there's people talking in it, then there's a lot more interaction and excitement. So I don't mind doing them as a big group. I think that's awesome. But I don't want to be the only one doing it for everything. 1, it's really taxing on me. 2, then other people don't get the chance to do it, and it still seems overwhelming to do it. And then 3, other people don't get the community atmosphere. I really loved when I just stopped changing from doing coach sneak peeks by myself to opening up to the whole team. And then I asked the team to start sharing videos inside, like the different coaches. And as I did that, I saw so many more coaches want to sign up because they got to a sense of the community that we have, the team that we have. They weren't seeing just me. They were seeing like Jen and Rachel and Danny and Sarah, like everybody else share in those coach sneak peeks as well. And then they saw like, okay, I relate to her really well. Even though they may have a different coach, they're like, oh, but I relate really well to her and I relate well to her. And so I could fit into this group. Does that make sense? Like, they see themselves in there. And then it's like, oh, okay. Or hearing the different reasons why people joined and what they've gotten out of it. And they're like, oh, well, I get that too. So, okay, I know you guys all need to head to bed, especially you East Coasters. You have work tomorrow morning. So I love you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to stick around, but you definitely don't have to.